Hi, today I'll take you through a Muay Thai Chaiya practice. We'll start out by warming up, but then we'll move on to stretching, and as you will see, we'll go back and forth and slowly increase the stretching because we need to be warm to stretch, but we also need to stretch to be warm. So the entire practice is a constant flow between the two. We'll start out with our kick stretches, then we'll move on to agility, then go to striking, then we'll do technique, and we'll finish with strength and conditioning. So we'll start out with our kick stretches. Everyone does this on their own before the actual practice starts. And we'll do 4 series with each leg, so a total of 80 kick stretches. We'll kick to the side, we'll kick backwards, come forward with a knee. The most important one is our rounded knee. Our femur goes into our hip socket like a ball. It needs to be able to rotate. Our legs are usually just moving in straight way, but we need that full rotation, and you'll see why that's important when we move on to kicks. And the last one will be a straight kick forward.
Before every class, I have students do these kick stretches. It is important to understand their function in class. These are not practical kicks, but rather a means of loosening the hips and stretching the legs. The first one was much like a split stretch, which will increase the height at which one can kick. After all, we all want to knock someone out with a head kick. These second ones are over-exaggerated knees to help generate the power from thrusting the leg back to drive a knee into your opponent. The single most important of these, and the one students often slack on, is this rounded knee, which opens the socket of your hip to improve knees, kicks, and specific leg strikes. Lastly, we do a forward kick, which mainly completes the stretch routine from each of the 4 basic directions our legs can move. There are other advanced ones I'll introduce in higher levels of training.
After we kick, we'll move on to the agility, which is also part stretching. We'll do crab walks, bear crawls, cartwheels, and we'll break our fall, which is very important for learning how to fall. We don't want to hurt our wrist or our elbows, so we'll also learn how to roll. Rolling to protect our neck. We can't roll forward where our head touches the ground. We need to roll over our shoulder to protect our neck in case of a hard fall. And this helps you in everyday life, such as coming off a motorcycle or anything. It's one of the most important things in any martial art, and every martial art has breaking your fall and forward roll.
Although there are certain stretches we do with our partners prior to this routine, they alter based on the techniques for the class. These are our everyday basic agility moves, which serve both as a stretch and a warm-up. They are done without vigor and meant to further warm up our muscles, but mainly our joints, including the first one known as crab walks. We go forward and backwards, and this second one known as bear crawls. Although there are different variations, including elephant walks, where our legs and hands are flat on the ground and legs are straight, and crocodile crawls. Next, we do cartwheels, and it's important to do them on both sides. One side is usually difficult for us, so we must focus on that. Again, this has multiple practical uses, but students do not learn them early in training. They just learn how to do the movement correctly. Breaking your fall is one of the most important aspects of any martial art. It prevents injuries in and out of the training room. These must be somewhat mastered before we can even begin to learn technique with a partner. These are done in a variety of ways to stimulate getting tripped, swept, or thrown by increasing the amount of surface area that contacts the ground simultaneously. Forward and backward rolls over the shoulder are also essential to safety by protecting the neck. We will use these today in practical use in combat, but there are several other ways when we move into grappling and leg locks. Lastly, we'll do a walking on the hands, which doesn't have as much of a practical purpose, but it does develop upper body strength and balance.
After we're a little more warm, we'll begin to do some striking. These strikings could be with the pad or in the air. We'll do our roundhouse tornado kicks, we'll do our regular roundhouse, we'll do our push kicks, we'll do knees, and we'll do flying knees. These are to continue the warm-up and continue our stretching.
This is a Roundhouse Tornado, but the initial kick is our most basic Muay Thai kick. The importance here is that we attack and defend by finishing with a strong check. Notice the way our head has to spin around and walk focused in the same position, moving forward to prevent dizziness. We always need to visualize our opponent in front of us at striking range when we use this in the air, which is why I kick at my students after they come at me with a kick. It is important for them to be ready after attack, after spinning around, and we only spin because our opponent moves back and we put so much force into it, it actually is more effective to spin through opposed to turning back. And we'll see a variation actually to this when we don't spin all the way through. And pad work is essential to developing power and resistance without having to actually hurt somebody. So we get to go full throttle with our attacks by hitting these Muay Thai pads. This first one is a push kick and a thrusting knee. Then we do a roundhouse leg kick to a Superman punch to the face, which allows us to kick and punch using back thrust to generate forward momentum. The 4-strike elbow aims for the chin in each of 4 strikes. As always, we do both sides to assure versatility. We never know when we'll be in one stance or the other. The flying scissor knee combines a knee to the body with a flying knee to the chin. And this uses torque as we have seen in the Superman punch. We practice the same one we did in the air with a partner. The last roundhouse kick is a variation to spinning and checking by throwing an additional side kick attack.
Now that we're warm, we'll begin to do our techniques. Techniques are meant for actual scenarios where an attacker comes at you with a certain move and you defend yourself. So we will do some basic ones, although they always change in real life situation. We want to get used to basic strikes from a rear hand to a front hand, which is a jab, or a kick, a push kick, a roundhouse kick, or a knee. And also, if we decide to kick someone and they catch our leg, I have a special counterattack for that.
We will look at each technique at regular speed and then in slow motion. First is a parry check counter to thrusting knee. Next is a parry check to the outside. On this one, you parry check, step to the outside, step on the back of the knee, using your hand that has the wrist, throw it forward, and elbow to the brainstem. Third is a defense to a clinching knee. You have to have the right timing, catch them when they're off balance, when they're throwing their knee, and sweep them to the mat. Fourth is a counter to a push kick. You step to the outside, scooping the leg, coming forward with a soccer kick to the back of the leg. Fifth is a counter to the roundhouse. On this one, you move away from the kick, circling, coming forward, stepping in between the legs, and thrusting forward and throwing a 12 to 6 punch to the face. Six is an escape, which is a counter to the last technique by rolling out and getting back to your feet, ready for an attack. This is utilizing that forward roll, protecting our neck, and coming into a fighting stance.
The last thing that we will do today is strength and conditioning. I like to finish every class with some hard workout to build some muscle and endurance, which will always be important when we continue and spar. This will include V-ups, push-ups, wall sits, leg lifts, and even the pyramid 8s. I'll show you what those are. They're quite difficult.
Every class initially finishes with a burn down to increase our strength and conditioning. These are pyramids. They can go up to any number, and you just add one kick to each set, and then once you get to the top, you regress back down to 1. And you do this on each side. Second, we have skipping knees, which is a way to go full power and full speed to an increasing number each week. Here's 20, but we could do 100 or 200 if we wanted. Third, push-ups. We do these on our knuckles, the same knuckles we strike with, and we hold for a count of 10 on our last one. So for instance, when we get down to 9, then we hold it for a count of 10 and then come back up. Fourth, we do V-ups, and these are done quickly and can increase at our own discretion. Fifth, and my favorite, are these neck lifts. These are essential for many reasons, the main being withstanding a strong Thai clench and the other being able to take a punch, because a weak neck means a head that will rattle and potentially get knocked out. We will eventually get up to doing hundreds of these every day. These can be done by oneself in their room at any time. And there's a variety of leg lifts, and these are a few of them. You're basically just holding them up for a certain amount of time. We can hold them straight out in front of us, flutter kick as you see here. We can also change the momentum and do a scissor kick, or scissors back and forth here. And lastly is wall sits. And these are done for a long period of time. Again, we can increase the time as we go on. Our knees must be bent at a 90-degree angle, our backs flat against the wall, and our hands up. And when we finish, we want to blast up into a standing position. Generally, this is also a good time to work on our meditation and concentration, while we will go up to 5, even 10 minutes at the end of class. As you can see, it takes both physical and mental toughness to perform well on this final exercise.
Now, after we're finished with strength and conditioning, everyone's tired, everyone's breathing hard, their heart rate is up, even their temperature has risen. And at that point, I want everyone to meditate. We sit in a circle, we close our eyes, we concentrate on slowing our breath, slowing our heartbeat, even slowing our body temperature, which can be controlled with the mind as we begin to calm down. At that point, everyone is free to go. The beginners go home, and the advanced, they stay, and we continue with sparring.